We are live with the community. This is the May 2025 Power Platform Community Call. Today is May 21st. My name is David Warner with Quisitive, your humble host, along with Shane Young from Powerhouse 911. Shane, how are you doing?
I am great, David. How are you?
I am excellent, my friend, because we are with all of our closest friends in the community today. And what is it that we're going to do? Well, let's check it out. We're going to talk about a bunch of community resources. We're going to cover some community samples, Power Platform news and events. And then we're going to have everybody's favorite time, which is picture time with Together Mode. And then we've got three fantastic demos today. First two by first-time presenters, everybody. So we want to make sure that we show a ton of love and support to each and every one of them. Ryan is here. He's going to talk about Power Apps Git integration. And then Cathrine is going to cover extending model-driven apps with custom pages. Super excited for both of those. And then I'm going to cover some Power Apps snippets, tips, and tricks. So we're going to have a lot of fun together on all these topics. But first, you may be thinking, there's got to be some cool things out there in the community. You're right, there is. We got tons of resources. Let's start with the first, our Microsoft Community Learning videos. This is our YouTube channel where we post a ton of content. And in fact, YouTube tells us we're breaking all the rules, but we're doing it in all the right ways because we're showcasing all the amazing work that you do and those that Microsoft does. So we want to make sure that you are liking and subscribing all the content there because you're also providing that content, and we thank you for it. We've got a LinkedIn page group for discussions, our open source tooling, sample galleries, of which we'll talk about a little bit today. And then, of course, you only need to remember one, maybe two URLs to give you access to all these things, and that is community.ms or aka.ms/community/home. Will get you access to all these things. It is absolutely wonderful, and again, it's all because of you, so thank you. Now, if you're watching today and you're like, these are some pretty cool demos, I got some cool stuff. Should I share it? Is it cool enough? You betcha it's cool enough. In fact, Shane, well, everything's cool enough to share if it's useful to you, right?
You know, I think this is one of the biggest things people struggle with, right? It's called the curse of knowledge. You think because you know it, everyone must know it. That is not true, right? Like, you have things to share. The other thing that we'll hear from people is, well, you know, so-and-so's already got a video on that. Like, why would I do it? Because, right, the whole idea is that you're going to say it differently. You're going to have a different point of view, a different perspective. It's just going to land different. So if you've got content, you've got things that you know and you want to share, share it. Don't overthink it. Don't think about reasons why you can't share that information. Think about reasons why you can.
Absolutely. Great way to put it, Shane. I absolutely love that. So yes, don't overthink it. You don't have to make time travel possible. If it's useful to you, I guarantee, as Shane said, it'll be useful to others. All right, cool. So fill that out and let us know, and we'll get you scheduled. And if you need a buddy, we can do that too. We'll buddy up with someone from the community, and we'll do it together. All right, so there is also some of these cool samples and badges that you can take advantage of. So let's start with Kate on the samples. Tell me more, Kate.
Yeah, thank you very much, David, and hello, everybody. I'm very happy to see how the gallery is growing, and today we have a lot of marvelous snippets for adding some beauty to your applications, and as well a Copilot Studio agent snippet that helps you to craft and set up out-of-office message for your vacation or community travelings. Thanks a million to our contributors, Eliane, Melissa, Steve, Catherine, and Jan, for your outstanding work and for sharing this with the community. Everything you can see here and other powerful samples, snippets, and prompts are completely free and ready for you. And of course, you are very welcome to become a contributor as well. Or if you're already a contributor, please submit more. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me, and I'll be more than happy to support you and craft the submission ready code. And let's grow in together. Back to you, David. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kate. And Kate was so humble, she forgot to thank herself, but she's contributing here as well. So, Kate, thank you. Awesome job. All right, now, if you may be looking at these or looking at some of the samples, you're like, I'd love to contribute some samples that I've got. We want to enable you, and that's where our Sharing is Caring session comes in. We just had our last one for May. This Monday. It was fantastic. Enabled some new contributors to get involved and understand what that Git of hubs, that hub of Gits is, that GitHub thing that can be so intimidating. We're going to demystify it, break it down, and make it a simple little task that you're going to absolutely love. So we've got our next one scheduled for June 23rd. It's open for registration, already available for you to register for, so please do that. These are safe space opportunities. They are not recorded, which means that we will work collaboratively live in making a contribution on the call and demystify all those GitHub steps, and you'll walk away feeling empowered. And guess what? It is already, once you do that, considered what? A contribution. And why does that matter? Well, it matters because you're going to get recognized. Our community recognition program is here with all these cool new badges that are available, some of which we've been loving and seeing, like Snippet Sorcerer and Modern Search just came out. We've got our React controls and property controls. We've got our list formatting, all that horsing around that we're doing. And of course, it is still plenty of time for the Star Wars theme badges. You can earn all 3 of these badges with just a few contributions to the community. They are available to each and every one of you. They are available for the rest of this month and all of June. So take advantage. I've been seeing everybody share them. And again, these are fun ways to get involved in the community, but they absolutely are credible as well. These are accredited badges. And in fact, these badges and this program has been so successful that Credly reached out and wants to do a case study because you all have made it so successful. So how awesome is that? You've all contributed to something that they want to recognize as a best in industry in the Credly space. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We do need you to opt in. It's absolutely free, aka.ms/community/recognition if you've not already. So please do that. Just need to do it once, and we'll track all the work that you're doing. And speaking of contributors, it is that monthly call where we want to recognize all of our contributors through that recognition program. So if you don't see your name here and you've been contributing, please do make sure you get registered because that's how we capture all these names. In fact, they've gone 2 pages. So take a snapshot of this. If you see your name, share it on the socials. Let everybody know that you're making a difference in the community. We want to thank each and every single one of you for all that you're doing. It's amazing work that you're doing, and we appreciate and love you for everything. Okay, let's talk about some shows and events that are going on. Of course, we all know it's Build Week, so you can still access some of that information and all the goings-ons of that this week. We also have next week the Trifecta event, so European Collaboration Summit, AI and Cloud Summit, and BizApp Summit. A number of folks and friends from the community will be there. Vessa will be there, April will be there, Hugo will be there, I'll be there. I'm bringing stickers, everybody, so some cool things with Parker on them, so get excited and let's collaborate and make sure we spend time together. We've also got EPPC coming up in June, so take advantage of that if it's available. The 3 TechCon events for Seattle, Atlanta, and Dallas. We've also got the Microsoft Power Platform Conference coming up again in October in Vegas. We've got Ignite. Whew, man, so many cool things coming up. We've got Dublin ESPC. So many amazing events coming up. So if you're able to be in any one of these or somehow support them, please do. And of course, that's not all. We've got all of our community events, which so much hard work goes in by all of our community members in doing these events. So please do support them anywhere and when you can, because there's a lot of work put into making these events possible, whether they're hybrid, live, or virtual. Please, please, please support them. Okay, let's get into the news desk, and we're going to come back to Shane, and we're going to talk about some notes from the field. Shane?
Hello. All right. So I want to start at the bottom. I want you all to know that last week I got to go to the Microsoft 365 conference, and I was standing in the speaker room, and you will never guess who came up to me. His name is Vessa, and he offered me a hug. He knew how much I wanted a hug, and so Vessa led. I was deeply touched. So if you don't think that dreams come true, just know that they do. So that was really important to me. So the other one, I guess I'm just working upside down. I wanted you guys to know that last week, 2 weeks ago, I forget, very recently, I released with Microsoft's help, me and the Microsoft product team, we worked together to build a Copilot Studio training class that is for Power Apps and Power Automate people. So it's on YouTube. It's 100% free. It is 5 hours of me teaching you how your Power Apps and Power Automate skills make your life so much easier when it gets going with Copilot Studio. What I really like about it, and it took me months to do, by the way, but what I really like is, like, I started with demos, right? So I've got a conversational agent demo and an autonomous agent demo, and they're really cool, full-featured, right? How often do you see those cool, full-featured demos, and then you're like, I could never build that? Well, guess what? The 2 awesome agents that I demoed that are, like, amazing, those are where I teach you step by step to build. So I show you how your Power FX skills come into play, your Power Automate skills come into play. If you know Power Apps and Power Automate, you already know 50% of Copilot Studio. So please go check that out. Enjoy it. It is so great. I can't do enough. I love that class. I mean, I know it's my baby, but I still love it. It was amazing. So there you go.
Awesome. Thanks, Shane. Okay, so getting into news, April is out traveling this week, so we have just a little bit of news, but I mean, it's build week, right? So we've got the news here and information. The build book of news is available, so we'll put that link in the chat if you've not already gotten it. Lots of information there. There's some new Learn modules that have come out, so check those out as well. So definitely take advantage of that. All right, so what time is it, everybody? It is picture time, so get those fantastic faces ready, and I will enable together mode. We're doing good on time here. I see Vessa's already got it going, and there we go. So we will, come on, teams, you can do it. We'll go outside today. I know Vessa likes the outdoors. So there we go. All right, great to see everybody. Let me shrink that up here and get Camtasia ready.
Oh, look at the puppy.
Good. Doing that and that and that and move that over there. All right, yes. Oh, looks like Natalie's got her, is that a cat or a dog? Or maybe it's a badger. I think it's a badger, actually.
It's a badger.
She got a badger. She is dedicated, let me tell you. Okay, there's still a couple seconds left if you want to enable your camera. I see a few people still coming in. Love to see it. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Love the
Another
smiles.
cat jumped in. Love it.
All right, yes, excellent. All right, let's give it just a few more seconds for those that want to share their camera. I know Teams is kind of slow this week too. We've been seeing that as well, so we'll give everybody that opportunity. And here we go. Okay, let's do the countdown, everybody. 3, 2, 1. Looking great. Let's wave. See everybody in the community. Love again all that you're doing. We could not have these events and all these contributions and amazing opportunities like the recognition program, sharing, and all of these things like the calls without you. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being amazing. All right, with that, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program, and we are going to kick off our 3 fantastic demos of the day. So we're going to begin with Ryan. Again, first-time presenter on the call, everybody. So let's show that great community love and support. He's going to talk about Power Apps Git integration. So Ryan, if you'd like to take on over the screen, the floor is yours.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be presenting. As Shane had said here, why would you want to present? Sometimes there's already video on here. Well, as you can see, I already have a video on this subject somewhat. So today we're going to be talking about this thing that was mentioned, this GitHub. What is this thing of Git, and how does it relate to the Power Platform? Source control. So as you know, the video I did actually about 3 years ago, and things have changed a little bit. Microsoft likes to make our jobs a little bit easier. We're going to talk about source control, specifically the recently released general availability Git integration. So with that said, we're not going to take a whole hour. We've got 15 minutes here. We're going to go pretty fast, and we're going to focus specifically on the Git integration. I'm still going to use the old slides. These are about 3 years old, and we're going to skip over about 2/3 of it and just give you a quick overview. For those of you that aren't familiar with Git, this is basically going to allow you to scale out as you have larger teams. So we'll go ahead and dive right into it. So right here, off the top, big picture with our agenda, as I mentioned, there is a lot that you can go into. Historically, if you wanted to set this up, it was pretty involved. On today's agenda, we're going to dive in specifically on the Git integration. So when we look at source control, setting it up, well, the question you first want to look at is, well, why do we even care about this, right? Do we really need source control? And I'll just preface this by saying, if you are a single developer, not really working with multiple people on your team, you don't have to deal with multiple chains of releases that you're juggling and trying to figure out who goes first and dependencies between them, then this may be a little bit overkill. But Microsoft's made it so much easier that you might find this actually is really sweet. So let's talk about what we're trying to actually solve with source control. If you go look in the Power Platform, you'll find that you have the concept of solutions. There was the old debate about managed versus unmanaged. Isolating work. So say you're working on an application, 2 different features are being developed, but they have dependencies on each other. You want to release one, but you're concerned about feature leaks from the other. That's a really big factor right there. Also, backup and just having a backup. Now, there are alternatives. You could say, well, I can use solution segmentation. To an extent, yes, you can somewhat isolate your features. You can use feature flags so that you basically have a variable to turn things on or off in the production environment. So it might technically be deployed, you just haven't turned it on. Following a very strict release cadence, source control basically helps you with all of these problems, right? So again, if you want to look into this, This whole topic, I've got an hour-long presentation that's been on YouTube for like 3 years. You can go look at that. We're going to go ahead and skip through here. With the solution layering, just by the way, the Power Platform, you can have 500 layers solutions deep, and it'll keep running without a tick, right? If you go pull up my blog, I've got an article on that. So again, not really a concern here. But we do want to be very clear. An environment is not source control. Yes, you can use it for backups and whatnot, but it's not going to give you the same level of control and the ability to very finely decide when you want to release specific features on a comprehensive, large application. And with that note, the steps in this big picture, if you throw everything in source control, you can basically have what are called branches where two different developers are working on different features. They go through a series of commits. When you're ready, you go from their dev environments, you merge everything to a release or a dev main build environment, and you push that out to prod. Again, concepts of source control, go look at the video. We're going to go ahead and click through here. Historically, this is very complex to set up, right? You had to go in, use either PowerShell scripting or DevOps, set this all up, and you can do it. So that's all available in that hour-plus long video. What we're going to go to today is just how it looks now for your non-pro developer in the Power Platform. It's just as easy as a click of a button. So we're going to switch gears and come over to the native integration. Now, I just saw this a couple months ago. It was in preview, gave it a try, and reached out and said, hey, this is really interesting. I think the community would really benefit from having source control now that Microsoft has made it so much easier. So we're going to switch over here and just show you how to turn this thing on, get you started. Again, with 15 minutes, the purpose is not to go through everything about source control and merge pull requests, conflict resolution, but just show you how to turn it on so that you can go in and start experimenting with it. So that said, steps are pretty straightforward. You're going to go into the environment, into the solution setting. There's a new button in here. It says connect to Git. This was, again, made generally available just this last month. So we'll go ahead and switch over and do a demo of this, just hands-on. So right here, we'll pull up my environment. And I am in this environment called THP Demos. That's my helpful bit blog environment I use for demos and stuff. In here, I've got a solution called Demo Integration, another one called Demos. I'm going to go ahead and just use this one right here. And actually, yep. Go back out to the solution layer right here. So this button should be available in your tenant now, again, generally available. Go ahead and click Connect to Git. As a prerequisite, two things you want to be aware of. This is a managed environment feature. Basically, you need to have Dataverse in there. So if you've got your premium licenses, you're good to go. And you do need to set up the source control repo first. So to do that, you'd come over to Azure DevOps, create a project, create a repo. The assumption here is that if you're doing Git, you probably know how to set this up. It's really easy. Just basically go in DevOps, create a repo. And then if you go to the repo details, you'd have a link to clone it and whatnot, but you don't even need to do that. Just come in here, tell it you want to sync, connect it to Git. Now there are two options with this. You can either sync basically the full environment or just an individual solution. Now, to get started, I strongly recommend just start with the environment. Yes, you can do it on a solution by solution basis. If you select the environment option, that's going to basically sync all of your solutions in separate folders, all of the assets that are in those solutions. It'll keep track of all that for you. On the organization, this is your Azure DevOps organization. So one of the gotchas with this, if you're using, say, GitHub, this currently only works with Azure DevOps. Now, down the road, I wouldn't be surprised if they add the ability to work with, say, GitHub. So in this case, I'm going to select my helpful bit organization, my project that's in there. The repository is this THP demos one that I've got on, and then you need to select the branch. Okay, so basically the idea in source control with a branch is to isolate work between multiple developers, say either on a feature by feature basis or sometimes per specific developer. It depends on your approach. You'll have a main branch that is your production ready code. And then when someone starts working on a feature, you'll typically create a branch, work on that. So the idea here is your Power Platform environments should be considered disposable, right? You build a feature in there, you reset the environment or you sync it back to the main, and then you merge your changes in when they're approved, tested, ready to go to prod. For this demo, I'm just going to go ahead and select the main branch, but as a best practice, only your production ready code would be in there. And then this is under a folder. You're going to tell it what folder within that branch you want to sync it to. So again, you can have separate folders for different things that are all synced. Go ahead and hit connect. This is awesome. It only takes about 10 or 15 seconds maybe. Let that connect. And we are now connected. Okay. So the way this works is if you come over to this DevOps project and you look at the history, you can see all of these changes that have been made in this environment. As I first tested this just not too long ago to make sure it worked, get ready for the demo. If I come into the environment and say, for example, I have two developers. Our scenario is you've got, say, an application form that has contact information, first name, last name, etc. So I'm going to come into my solution. The one that we just chose to sync was this demos one. And on the, I'm going to use this demo merge conflict table. So say we have a model driven app. And if we look at the forms, I'm in the environment. If I open up the information form, let's say I am a non-professional developer. So citizen developer maker, I come in here and I've made some first changes and I'm going to just say, you know what, this should have been first name. I know what I was doing or should have been doing. This should have been last name. Okay. And this should have just been birth date. Okay. So I change that. I go ahead and say save and publish. Do that work in this environment. Okay. Now I'm going to come back out of here. We'll give this a second to publish. One of the issues you'll run into with your development, the reason we have source control is occasionally you have two different people working on things. They're developing separate features, but they might touch the same form, and both of those developers might make a different change. So then we have a conflict, right? So by comparison, if a pro dev was working on this and they were looking in this folder, all of this is stored in source control. If I look in THP demos under entities, this was my demo merge conflict. And under the form XML on my main form, I have a YAML file. Okay. So inside of here, you'll note that it was maker's first name. The professional developer might have looked at it and said, hey, that new guy just totally screwed this up. Let me fix this for him. So they've got a few options. They could edit it in here. They could also edit it in VS Code and then just sync it back up. So you can see right here if they want to do it here. Either way, most likely if they're a pro dev, they're probably working in, say, VS Code or Visual Studio. But I'm going to go ahead and just sync it right here and then say this should have been first name. And this should have been last name. That was the same. But say I'm from the United Kingdom or whatever reason, I call it surname instead, just because. And then on birth date, maybe this was a driver's license application. And for my own reasons, I called it DOB, date of birth, right? And I could commit this, and I'm just going to say on here, fixed contact fields. Okay. Now, again, I'm doing this right on the main dev branch, which is not best practice. Typically, you'd work on a separate development feature branch, and then you'd merge all the changes. But for the fact that we've got 15 minutes, you've got here two different personas working. A professional developer that came in, fixed some things. He did his commit. If I look at the history now, you can see this is showing here. But if I go back into my source control environment, And let's get back out of here. I now want to go ahead and push my stuff into source control. So once I've enabled the source control integration, on the left-hand side, there's this button that says source control. Give this 1 second and it syncs up. I'm going to go ahead and say check for updates. And I do see there are questions on here popping up, so we'll take questions at the end, provided we have time. You'll see that this says there are 2 conflicts. Now, I do want to be clear that this is a new feature, and at this point, unlike a professional developer working in Visual Studio, which we don't have time to go over how to deal with a merge conflict in a more professional sense, but the idea is if you have a Fusion development team, someone on your team with Git would know how to work through that. For your maker, at least they know, hey, there's a conflict. 2 of us both tried to catch the same football and we ran into each other. Okay. Now in here, new feature, it won't tell you exactly what the conflict is, but if they look at this, you see there's a solution, there's these updates. Close all the comments right here. So if I click this solution right here, I have the choice at least to either keep, current, or accept. Now, if I click this detail, this will actually open up the DevOps repo. And this is where, truth be told, they're not going to know what to do with this. There's probably too much code. If they're familiar, they can go ask the professional developer, but they can sit down and say, all right, Mr. Professional Developer, can you help me work through this? They could do it. Or if they know that, hey, what I did is correct across the board through all of the changes, they can come in here and they can simply hit this button and say, you know what, I'm going to keep what I did in this environment and say, yes, I want to do that. Okay. And then same thing here with this other publisher, keep my own changes here. All right. All right. Source control agreeing process, that might take a second to come through here. So in the sake of time, similar to what I just did here in this environment where I made some changes and I clicked commit, right here, this button that's grayed out, you will be able to click commit, put in a little message that explains what the change is about. Right there, probably if I click the individual one. It's got a sync in the background. So demo gods are not with me today. Too many other changes in that solution, probably because I pushed something right before we started the call. That will then push those over into the source control. And then right here, if you look at the history on this branch, and let's go back to the top level for the entire solution, you will see a change that I had pushed in those changes from this environment. Okay. So can we co-author the Git integration? I see that from the Shinth. I'm not sure what you mean by co-author the Git integration. I know you may be referring to the fact that we now have the ability to co-author in the Canvas app editor. So that is still a separate feature. Basically, this is on an environment by environment basis. So yeah, you could still have people co-authoring in there to edit it. This, you can think of this as a separate feature and a separate capability. The cool thing with this, again, that you get is you get a history of all the changes as people work on things. And if there are conflicts, you know about it. Co-author model-driven apps, that's a totally different thing, which I believe Microsoft was working on, but I haven't seen that. Okay, so back over here, if we run through a couple other things on the slides. So gotchas and limitations, as one thing you'll note, there may still be some bugs. It's technically general availability. I've seen a few bugs. When you first spin it up, if you have an existing solution that's out in source control and you create a new environment, it doesn't automatically pull that in. As far as I can see, you have to basically import the solution to get it, recognize it there. But if you start with it in a new environment, turn it on, and then push it to source control, it works just fine that way. Merge conflicts, as we covered already, you have to basically just deal with those in a more traditional professional sense If you want to have a line by line selection of like, I want this field change, but not that one, you can do that sort of thing in Git using the command line. So your Fusion development, professional development teams would know how to deal with merge conflicts. But for your non-makers, at least at this point, you can select, do I want to keep my copy versus the incoming? You know that there's a conflict there. Limitation, similar to the merge conflict, there isn't currently a way that you can stage just individual lines. So as you saw, I changed 3 different fields there. So if you want to say do a commit with just one of those and commit to that, that's something you would regularly do in a professional development setting. Doesn't allow you that level of granularity, but again, it does allow you to take whatever changes. So best practice there is you want to commit frequently smaller changes. That way you see the history. Caveat here, kind of, if you have worked with the PAC CLI, you may know that they had an experimental feature for a while that would unpack and pack your Canvas apps. The underlying schema that they used for that, they abandoned and they restarted. So it's now based on YAML. It replaces rather than works with the traditional XML JSON file. So like if you go to the solution experience and export a solution file, it has JSON in there. It's a totally different underlying format. And the reason they did that is because for it to be able to take these changes and merge them together like a zipper, they need to be very careful to ensure that line by line things can be separated out. So it is a new format. You can't just use the old solutions and put them in. This would effectively replace this. As noted, it binds to only one branch. That's not a limitation. That's really more of a feature. So again, each environment should be tied to one branch and one branch only. I'm not entirely sure if all components are supported. This time I haven't seen any issue. Another big one, if you have code first components, say plugins, TypeScript, PCF controls that have to be compiled or transpiled in the case of PCF controls, that's a much more pro dev heavy side of things. You'd put those into a separate folder. You'd have a build process. But if you're doing that level of stuff, then probably you have someone that knows what they're doing with that as well. 25 megabyte commit limit, that's probably not an issue unless you have a really big solution. That's a fairly large solution file, but just something to be aware of. So best practices, make your commits clean and frequent, deploy new versions of the solution. So instead of like re-exporting smaller solutions one at a time, in general, you want to have a solution that you update and deploy a new version of the solution. Okay. So as you move forward with this, again, go out and play, give it a try. Brand new feature, just barely came into GA. Personally, just from what I've seen, I think it's still got a little ways to go, but Microsoft's definitely moving the right direction with it. And if you do have questions, of course, by all means, you can reach out to me. I work for Planet Technologies as a solution architect, so you can contact us here. Otherwise, if you want to reach out, my blog is on helpfulbit.com. You'll see some articles on there, and you can find me, Ryan Perry, MBA, on LinkedIn. So thank you all for listening.
Yeah, really
questions?
Cool. Well, actually, we're a little over time, so we'll take the questions in the chat. Definitely look for those. You can answer in the chat, but just to give the amount of time for the other demos, we'll have you answer there. But really great job, a lot of information, everybody. So rewatch the video, and we'll look to maybe have Ryan back on some deeper or going into more detail on individual topics here, because this is a broad spectrum that he provided. And he knew he was doing it in kind of a small amount of time. So Ryan, excellent job on summarizing all that. We really appreciate it. Love all that information. Thank you. Cathrine, feel free to take on over the screen share if you'd like. As I introduce you, Cathrine is here again. She's a first-time presenter on the call, so definitely show her a lot of love and support. She's going to talk about extending model-driven apps with custom pages. So Cathrine, take on over that screen share, and it is all yours.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here. I'm going to talk about extending model-driven apps with custom pages. I'll have a quick introduction to the topic itself. I'm going to talk a little bit about custom pages, what they are in model-driven apps, and I'll go through a demo of some use cases that I have built myself, used for customers, and then I reuse every time I build something new. So I am ready to get going with this. Okay, so let's see if we can hop on. Yeah, my name name is Cathrine. I am located in Oslo, Norway. I'm the head of Power Platform for Point Taken. I'm solution architect, and I really like to build some aesthetic and nice applications. I do have a GitHub repertoire where you can also find more information on the custom pages itself. I have a bit of JavaScript in there and the trigger points on how to do the command bar button and configuration in the model-driven app, as well as I am on LinkedIn. So let's see. Get on the loading screen here, of course. Yes, there we are. So for custom pages in model-driven apps, the most important thing to mention here is that you are extending by bridging the functional gaps. And often you have your structured data in Dataverse shown in forms and views in a model-driven app. And then you want to bring in these custom pages to bring in some new external data sources and some logic that is not capabilities in your standard solutions in the model-driven apps. And you want to bring in maybe some responsive, nice design, and you want to have some custom elements in there. For instance, bringing in the code components, as this is also a solution to fuse the low-code part with the pro-code, means that you will develop your custom pages as you would with your Canvas apps. You will use the PowerFX language, but to trigger these as a pop-up or side pane or even a full page, sometimes you need to bring in some more complex scripts like JavaScript to have these pop up. And also, I want to highlight the fact that a lot of these applications that I've built, they should be broken down into smaller pieces rather than trying to solve a one big business need. You can then build different pages because this will make it more suitable for the maintenance of it all and maybe also the performance and the optimization of the application itself. So a lot of the things that I like to use the different custom pages for are entry points, for instance. So having landing zones when you go into your different model-driven apps, meaning that the user, the first thing they will see is these main screens. You can then navigate them from this custom UI into a different website or a different source, the data source that you want to have them as, for instance, SharePoint. I also use them to route them into the different approval processes if I want to trigger them by using Power Automate. Then you have a lot of integrated options like using the 1400 connectors that are available, more than that, and both the Canvas apps today and the trigger points for or action points for Power Automate. So really suitable to do a lot of custom work. And also what I love to do is to have them just as a routing experience so that the user journey is more simple. It means that you can build everything for your solutions in one application rather than having them navigating to different platforms or different organizational data structures and data platforms. So just trying to make it easy for them, have some record showing, you can display information from your views and your record IDs then pop up on the side pane. I'll show this in a later demo. And also I really like a functionality where you can bring in some PDFs and have them working located in SharePoint, bring them into your model-driven apps as a side pane or as a pop-up if you want to split your screen. There are so many varieties of how you can use the custom pages. I'm going to go on over to Power Platform, and here I have some of my custom pages as landing zones. What I like about this is that you bring them into a very nice designed area. If you like to design, I like to do the design. So I don't have the experience or the education to support that, but I really like to sit and flick with different options. So I like to bring in some SVGs that are moving here. I also want to use some HTML, maybe to make them more engaging, interactive, have some nice coloring, some shading perhaps. And then these could be used to then navigate users into different parts of your application, etc. From this page, I just have added one other page, and as a full page here, you do not need to use JavaScript. You have them embedded as part of the navigation menu, which means that you do just add them to your model-driven app when you're editing it. Here, I have just added another page to show how you can navigate from one page to another, very simple. I also like to focus on responsive design because user screens are different. The resizing and the dynamic proportions of the screen will be much better for the user experience if you also add the option to make it smaller and larger. So what I usually do here is that I have containers and then I build it and have layout management in that regard, that it looks very nice and neat. It is aligned either to one of the other elements like boxes or shading, and different containers have different shading points. Then you can really have a very nice looking app. And a lot of my customers say that, oh, is this a model-driven app, or what is it? What is this custom code? So they are really responding to this, and it doesn't have to look like early 2000 kind of blue Microsoft applications anymore, which I really like. So for this one, I reuse a lot of this. I use the YAML, I copy the container code, and then I paste it throughout my apps, so I can just take this and build it for different apps. Really nice. You have a gallery here. You can access the different informations, like for this instance, I have an ordering system, so the users can go into the orders they have to manually handle. They can see the different lines, how many they are, and then sort them out so that it can work with those quicker first, or the opposite. Different coloring. I'm trying to be consistent with the different designs as well, so that it means we can connect to the ERP system, but still have the record showing here by then using Power Automate to bring them in. So for instance, here, I would click the record, and then you have a Power Automate going in the background. It's using HTTP requests, getting in all the JSON data that we need, and then we can then show the related information for the different records. Very nice way. Another one is a full page also that I've built for like conference use. I have different sessions, different feedbacks, and you can see my agenda here as well. I have the option to use patch because we have built this using PowerFX. So I'm having patch on this little heart icon here. I can then add it to my session, and you can see that it will then go over to this side. I can also remove them if I don't want to have them there anymore. If I want to then navigate to other parts of this application, I can also click this record. I can go in and I now open a form. So I hope this gives you an idea of how you can route to different users throughout your application. Click the back button, you're back where you started. You can add some stars, it will update, you can give new feedback, it will go into a new form, for instance. You can also have added feedback by clicking the button here and then writing something. It will then be updated out on the main page again. So it's a very nice way of structuring the data and navigating the people around your application. So for the full page, no JavaScript required. Now we're going to look at side panes and custom dialogues for pop-ups, which means that you will also have some JavaScripts that are required. I can select a record, and on the top command bar here, I have a different options. I want to see the session information in a side pane. I will then just bring it up here, which means that I've selected one. The record ID is then passed into the custom page itself. It is using a record ID function within JavaScript. I use the param function in PowerFX, get the good, and then the record information. Here I see the same as I saw on the first page with the record information, like what kind of session is this and what kind of feedback have I been giving this. I can also update this and save using patch. So the idea is then to rather have the user navigating back and forward into the different forms. I can have it shown here very easily. And also, as a standard way of doing it, you can display the form itself on the side pane, which is a very nice way of just working through the different records you have here as I have sessions. For PDFs, I think this is really neat because you have something called for launch And for this, you can have a new and replace as a parameter in the launch function. And if you have, as I have here, for instance, in SharePoint, you have some documents, it means that you can open the documents as you would. And instead of going into SharePoint itself, you can then load the documents as you would like to in an app, or as I did here, launch it in its own screen. It's a very nice way of routing and then keeping the user intact with what they're doing, so it's much easier for them. Let's go back. And then for the dialogues, we also have the wizard, for instance, popping up here. I can see the different PDFs again. It's side to the side to the right side, but you can also adjust it by showing it in the middle of the screen if you want to, which makes it really nice to work with. Here I have added the option to show the PDF within the pane itself so that you can work with it. Now it's over the screen, but if I go and open the side pane dialog on this side of this form, it means that I can select the different PDFs, look at the record here, and then input it from the data in the PDF. For instance, let's say you're working with invoices, you can have it very nicely and tight here. So I am being very quick about this, and I can go in depth, but we don't have time for that today. So I just want to wrap it up saying that we have a lot of possibilities to extend our MDAs with external data, business processes you want to do tailored, and you want to ease the user journeys. Custom pages are great. I want to highlight the fact that you should build with the user-centric mind, having them all the way through your design process and your thoughts. And then for a lot of these things, there are limitation boundaries that you should check out. For instance, check out how many custom pages you should be using or connectors you can have within your custom pages altogether, because they share the same infrastructure within one model-driven app. So be aware of that. Test a lot, because there are a lot of errors. Use it not just in edit mode in your makerspace, but also bring it into the model-driven app. Increased complexity when you bring in the dialog and side panes, because you need JavaScript and some information about how you do that. Other way, use full pages wherever you want to, just with low code. Thank you very much. My name is Cathrine, and I'm very happy to be here. So thank you for the invitation.
Cathrine, excellent job. Really great stuff. And I love how you're bringing in capabilities of design that's usually kind of harder to do in model-driven apps, right? So using these pages and all of that is a great way to showcase the ability to do some of those designs. So really, really fantastic job. Thank you so much. Again, her first time on the call, everybody. So amazing work. We'll have to have you back again to cover some of those wonderful design opportunities. So really, really good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's get in, everybody, to some Power Platform snippets. So we're going to talk about these now a little bit. Usually April is with me, but she is traveling. So just wanted to make sure that I share out that April, myself, and Shane have all done demos and or videos around this topic. So feel free to check us out. These are our YouTube accounts that you can see all the videos that we've done, as well as all the other topics that we cover, which is a lot of passion. So definitely check that out, and we'll share the links in the socials as well, and the show notes and the chat. Now, what's on the agenda for today? We're going to talk about what are snippets. So just so you're reminded, if you already know, great. If not, we're going to cover it. We're going to talk about snippet modularity. We're going to talk about some snippet documentation if we've got time. Might save that for next time. And then we're going to talk about some resources. So what are snippets? Well, you can see the Lego theme going on here. They really are about being able to put together pieces of our Power Platform environments, if you will, our controls, our components, all kinds of stuff, whether it be Copilot Studio, Power Automate, or Power Apps, which we'll focus on apps today. It's reusable ways to use our components, our controls, our features, all the stuff that we build. And it uses what's called YAML. And YAML may be a little misunderstood. It stands for yet another markup language, or YAML ain't markup language. they've changed it a couple times. Essentially, it's a JSON cousin, if you will. And so what does that look like? Let's dive directly into what that demo can look like, right? So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start by adding just a simple button onto an app. And of course, me being me, I've got to switch it over to purple, right? And now I'm able to right click on this and I'm able to go view code. That is YAML. That is a snippet. I can absolutely use my copy code button right there to copy all this code and paste it into a brand new application if I want to, right? So let me copy that code and I will come over to this, which is a brand new application on another tab, and I will paste it here. Paste, there we go. And there we go, there's my button, purple and all, right? Didn't change anything, but I was able to paste it. This is a brand new app. So how else can you use this technology? Is it limited to just simple buttons? No. So let's start a little story here. Here we are. We're building some Power Apps, and we're using snippets, and we're building YAML, and we're sharing them with the community and internal resources and all that good stuff, right? And everybody's starting to use them. And guess what? Everything is awesome. But then guess what happens? Oh, somebody's calling. Who is it? Oh, hey, boss man. What's going on? Oh, man. Boss man doesn't sound happy. Everything okay, boss man? You don't look so happy. What's going on? What? Oh, my goodness. You used a lot of these snippets and you shared them with a client, a very important client call, and you got a bunch of red X's? What? Oh, my goodness. No, that's not how it's supposed to happen. You should be able to reuse them and everything. So I'll tell you what, boss man, give me a few minutes. I will get this fixed and we will get it taken care of, I promise. Okay, so what exactly is the boss man talking about? Let's go take a look. Let's go back into our app, and I've got a few scenarios set up here. So I've got a gallery right here. This is a gallery based on a data set that I imported from Excel. Now, that Excel could be Dataverse, it could be SharePoint, it could be anything, right? Point is, we've got a gallery that's showing off some Lego sets here. It's showing the title, a little description of Anton Ego, who's judging our souls, and other variety of Lego sets that I like, right? So what's happening is I can absolutely view the code for this, and you can see that there's a whole variety of details about this gallery. And again, you can do this with almost everything in Power Apps, down up to the screen level, which is pretty cool. But you can see here for my items, it's using logo sets. Now that goes back to the data set. So if I come over here and say copy code, and I hit close, and I come over to my brand new app, and I paste, well, this is what the boss man was getting so upset about, right? He is pasting this in the client meeting, and it's showing a bunch of red X's. And of course, that may make sense to all of us if you're familiar with it, but if not, this looks like something is broken. So what could we do to kind of fix this scenario if we're looking to reuse snippets, such as galleries, such as other creative ways in which we could share components or controls or cool looking designs that we've already built? Well, one way, if I go back, I'm going to delete this gallery here. I'm going to go back to my screen, and I'm going to go down to my demo number 2 here, and it's the exact same thing. The biggest difference is what I've done is I've just simply taken hard-coded data. I've taken some hard-coded data sets from my data set, right? My original Excel Lego sets imported from Excel, which is connected to that, but wouldn't be available in a brand new app. And now I'm hard-coding. I'm just building in the data set into my gallery. And what does that do? Well, that means that when I come over to the gallery and I view code, well, now you can see all that's there, right? Now, you wouldn't normally do this in production, but this is meant for reuse. These are Lego pieces that we want other people to use. And it also lets them know what kind of data is being expected without them having to go deep into your gallery. If you've got a lot of items, they may not know exactly what it is that's building it or but the data architecture that it's based on. And so it can be a little confusing, right? But now if I come back into view code, I copy code, I come back to my blank app, brand new, I paste, everything's working, right? It looks good, it doesn't look broken. I'm not seeing any red X's or appearances that something might be broken. So it's a little bit easier to figure that out, right? Okay, so, the boss man's calling back. Let's go back and see what's going on. There was our demo. Everything's kind of awesome, but we're a little bit nervous. And so the boss man comes back in. Okay, so boss man, yes. So what you're saying is that it's working now, but it's a little plain, right? What you're saying is that you would like to see a little bit more design put into. Yes, yes. You want to see some more design into our gallery. So, okay, you want like a frame around everything. That's what you said? Yes. Okay. Yes, boss man. Okay. Okay. So how can we satisfy the boss man's desire and still make it modular and snippetable? Yes, snippetable. It's a word I'm making up, snippetable. So let's go back to our demo. I'm going to close this and let's go over to demo 3. And what I've done is I've added a little bit of a black and white frame here. And what does that look like in practicality, right? Well, in my gallery, and of course you would always have better naming conventions than I do right now. I just put these together and we always want to use proper naming conventions. But in my image here, I'm referencing a actual image file that I uploaded, right? So if I come over and look at media, there's my SVG. And SVGs are great. This could be a PNG file, it could be an image file, but SVGs are great because they're a little bit more portable. So when I go back to my gallery, and of course it's layered underneath here simply because this is layering, right? This is not order, this is layering when you look inside of a gallery. So you can get really creative with framing pictures and imagery and stuff like that. So when I come in and I go to view the code and I look at my image, then what do we see here? Well, I have another potential issue that the boss man is going to get upset about because I'm referencing a file that isn't going to get ported over when I copy that code. So let me copy the code, forgot to do that. And let me come back over to my Power App and I'll paste this in. And what do we got? It looks like it's working, but I still have a red X, right? It takes me to that file and says, hey, name is invalid, Lego frame black white isn't recognized. Well, that's simply because the file's not there, right? They have no reference. Now they have to go find it. I could, of course, include some documentation if I wanted, but why not prevent the error from happening? And we can do just that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to demo 4, which doesn't look any different, except for when I go to my image, what I've done is I've included the SVG inside my image. Now, you can't always do this with JPEGs or PNGs, but you could convert them to base 64. I'll include some links on how to do that. We're running short on time. So it's not just for SVGs. You could get creative. And again, this is not meant for production, although there's arguments you could make that you could do that. But this is meant for modularity, for reusability, for adoptability. We want other people to enjoy reusing the work that we've created, not feel like they're having to figure things out in some sort of scavenger hunt, right? So now when I come over, and I'll close this up, and I view the code, I scroll down, I see here it is, my SVG is baked in, right? So now when I copy that code and I come over and I come to my new app, there we go. It's pasted in, everything looks great, right? Really, really good. So now there's one more tip I'm just going to cover very briefly, and that is get creative with your SVGs, right? So if I come over to my SVG right here, or my Lego Demo 5 here, you can see I've added some color to my Lego pieces. And why am I pointing that out? Because SVGs are essentially configurable. If I come into my frame, and I look at that, what I also use, and this is the big one I want to highlight, is I'm using the with statement because your SVGs can absolutely be dynamic, right? If I scroll down here, I'm way down here, I'm changing the primary brick color and the secondary brick color, and that can be embedded in a number of places, and that can be frustrating, right? But in this case, I use the with statement and I reference these variables further down into my SVG, and now I just need to do one thing. So like that orange is great, but I wanted a little more orangey, right? So I'm going to say orange red. Orange red. Now it's a little more David Warner orangey, right? So purple and orange, and that looks great. And again, when I copy that code and I come over to the Power App and I paste, oh, something's wrong. I must have copied the wrong thing. Let me go back. Yeah, it's still referencing the other data set. See, made my own mistake. I didn't replace the data set with dynamic, so I could do that. But point is it would absolutely work. You'll carry over all that stuff, right? Okay, cool. So where are we at? Oh, the boss man is calling back. Hey, boss man. Whoa, hey, what's going on? Oh, you're happy. You saw it. Okay, you saw all the changes and everything's working. You copied and pasted and it worked, right? Yes, awesome. So you were able to copy all of that stuff in a very important client call and they signed a new contract. That is awesome. Tell me something. Who was the important client? Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, That makes sense. Okay, so when you use Snippets, everything is awesome, right? Just make sure you're using it in a right way. Make sure that you're setting it up for success for those that can absolutely use it. Don't make them work harder. You're trying to make their life easier. So use these resources. There's a ton out there. There's a ton of samples. Contribute to them. This is one of the easier ways to contribute into the community. It's super available. We're really just copying and pasting things you've already created. Just prep them a little bit better for those that are going to use them. Okay, let's wrap up. We got less than a minute. I want to make sure that we say thank you to all of our presenters today. Ryan, Catherine, and allow myself to thank myself. Woohoo, yeah. Ryan, Catherine, again, awesome job. Thank you for the community presence and contributions. Shane, any words of gratitude, gifts of gratitude?
Man, I appreciate all of you. Well, except for you. I appreciate Ryan and Catherine.
That's fair.
You guys, thanks for stepping up, and just showing once again, like the range of stuff we cover here, So today we had model-driven apps that were beautiful. Like who even knew that was a thing? And then we had, our whole Git repository integration, all that fun stuff. Like, and then David was just showing us YAML clips. Like this is one of the things I love the most about it's what I love the most about Power Platform, right? It's like we have such a broad set of tools and skills, and there's always something new to learn. So if you've got stuff to share, step up and, sign up to do a demo just like these guys, right? Ryan, Catherine, David, they all get high fives from me for standing up, sharing what they had, teaching us all something we didn't know. And I appreciate that. So thank you all.
Awesome. Yes, thank you, everybody, and all those in attendance who are supporting, too. Again, not possible without you. So what are some resources? Well, we've got more community calls in store for you. We've got our weekly Microsoft 365 Power Platform Microsoft Speakers call, which is going to have a community takeover in July and August, so keep an eye out. Those calls are not going on break. We were not on a break. Power Platform Monthly, which you're in right now, Office add-ins, and then our sibling bi-weekly M365 and Power Platform and VB Connections and SharePoint Framework, which is tomorrow, the Microsoft 365 Power Platform. We have amazing presenters tomorrow as well. Chris will be back talking about list formatting along with others that involved in the hackathon. So you can get the invites at ak.ms/community/calls and check out the meetup if you want to see all the actual agendas. Speaking of that call on Tuesday, it's going to be live from ECS. The presenters will be remote, but Vesa and I will be together in Germany hosting this with other members of ECS, which will be a lot of fun. Seb is going to be here, Sarah's going to be here, and Richard is going to be here again. Those are talking about some of those hackathon entries, which are going to be super, super cool. We've also got our Discord. If you'd like to be part of that, it is absolutely free and available. It's a nice one-stop shop, if you will, to be able to collaborate with other members of the community on a variety of topics all in one location. And please do let us know how we are doing with these calls. We absolutely love the feedback. Please keep it constructive and positive, but tell us if there's ways that we can improve it and make it better for you. That is our goal. So thank you again. The recording of this will be available in 24 hours or less on the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel. You can subscribe at aka.ms/community/YouTube. Of course, follow us on all the Twitters for LinkedIn, Blue Sky, and Twitter/X. Our next call will be on June 18th, 2025. We'll be back here with y'all to look at more amazing stuff. So thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of the build week, a wonderful weekend. And for those attending ECS next week, can't wait to see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.